In this video, we're going to solve compound inequalities. Before you solve problems like this, you really should know how to solve simple inequalities, because this skill is just slightly more complex. To do this, we're going to treat the three parts of a compound inequality exactly the way we treated both parts or both sides of a regular inequality. In other words, it's a three-part versus a two-part system. It's the same exact set of rules. We're going to add, subtract, multiply, or divide equally on all three parts. Whatever you do to one part, you do to all three parts, just like in solving a regular inequality. But please remember that when you divide by a negative, you got to reverse the inequality sign. The end state will usually look similar to something like this. A low number is less than the variable, which is less than a higher number. The variable x here is bounded on both sides. So let's try an example. Here there's several things for us to do. Notice it's a compound inequality with two inequality symbols. Please be careful. This one has a equal to sign in it. This one does not. So that's going to affect our interval. We're going to solve, graph, and write the interval. So we're going to start essentially by saying how do we get x by itself? Well, we're going to start by adding 5 to all three parts. Negative 3 plus 5 is a 2. The less than or equal to sign stays. 2/3 x. The less than sign stays. Negative 1 plus 5 is 4. Now how do you get rid of a 2/3? I'm going to switch colors here. One way of getting rid of 2/3 is to multiply by 3/2. And if it's more helpful to see fractions, I'm going to multiply all three parts by 3/2. And here, these fractions cancel out, so I'm left with x in the middle. My inequality symbols don't change. 3/2 times 2 is just 3. 4 times 3/2, these cancel. I'm left with 6. And my final result, x is bounded between 3 and 6. To graph this, the numbers I'm interested in are 3 and 6. I want to put in other numbers you may. X is going to be greater than or equal to 3, so I'm going to put a bracket in here. I'm going to shade to the right. X is going to be less than 6, so I'm going to put a parenthesis here, which means I'm not including 6, and I'm shading between them. That's the graphed inequality. And now to write the interval, you just copy the graph. Bracket, 3, 6, parentheses. There's the graph, there's the interval, there's the solution.